Hey, what is going on, everyone? I got my boy Marquis right here. He just closed his first deal at Real Estate Wholesaling. And so he's going to break it down for us a little bit. I'm super pumped to make this video for everybody watching and everything, kind of going to show what it really gets, what you can really get out of just taking massive action on just like some of the stuff I say. Like this guy, he just totally watched YouTube videos and just hustled hard, even though he was working a 9-to-5 job. He's still trying to get out of it. He's almost there. He's cashed one check and he's just working towards making some money and everything. All right. So my boy Marquis right here, he's going to talk about his deal a little bit.
Yeah. So, my name is Marquis. I started, this whole real estate thing back in December of 2017. Currently, I'm still in the midst of working a 9-to-5 job, but I really am going to be out of that job by the end of, next month or so. So I just pretty much want to let everyone know, no matter, how old you are, if you're working a 9-to-5 job, if you're in college, if you're doing any of that, you can secure your first wholesale deal, no matter what age or what job you're working. So I definitely just want to break down exactly how I, found my deal, and just so everyone can learn from it, because there was so many times in this deal where I literally thought it was going to blow up. Like I had the buyer and the seller in place, and there was just so many road bumps and things went in the process that I literally thought this deal was not going to close. So, when we're talking about the story, I know everything seems like it went by so quick, so fast, but there's a lot of ups and downs in the process. So even definitely don't get discouraged if you get in those bumps and those roadblocks, because there's going to be other people who can help you out in the process. So if you're trying to close your first deal, there's definitely going to be other wholesalers, a lot of people you can message and things like that to help you out. So we're just going to dive right into it. I'm pretty much going to dive right into how I found my seller, and pretty much give you guys like a little background of how everything really happened. So I start out my wholesaling, I guess my real estate experience or things like that back in December when I signed up for a course. It was a real estate course. This course was pretty much trying to teach you how to buy multifamilies, rent one half, live in the other. So your rent's getting paid each month. So I was pretty much looking for a way to get out of my 9-to-5 job because I hated it so much. So I took a real estate course back in December of 2017, only took that for about a month. It went over a little bit of wholesaling, just a little bit about wholesaling. So I canceled that in December or January of 2018. As soon as I canceled this real estate course, they give me just a little bit of information on wholesaling. And after that month, they weren't going to give me any more information. So I just canceled the course and strictly just went ham on the YouTube. So I start finding, all this free content on YouTube. I become obsessed with it. Devin's channel is like really amazing. I was like, how in the world is, a 19-year-old who's in college full time, how is he, breaking these deals down, and he's still in college, and he's young as heck getting these paychecks.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm actually 20 years old.
Okay.
So you're actually older than me, which is crazy. We're both young out here. So yeah, I'm 20. I really just started diving deep in your YouTube, watching all the free content. And it was just like an inspiration. I was like, wow, young people like us can really get this money. Because
there's not too many people our age that are doing this, honestly.
Yeah. And
like you see like Jalen White. I mean, he's probably like the only youngest one I've seen really, but all the other guys are like mid-30s, 40s.
Yeah, man. Jalen. I saw, how young he was, and I really didn't believe it, to be honest with you. I was like, guys, there's no way. So I guess I related with you just a little bit more because, you were in college, things like that. So yeah, I just started diving real deep onto YouTube, just getting the whole process done. And I want to say I was watching probably your YouTube videos, went real ham on a lot of content, probably for like a month, like 2 months straight. I wasn't watching TV, wasn't listening to any kind of music. I mean, I'm telling you, we were grinding on wholesaling. So I was just watching free content for around, a month or two. And then we finally get to the point where I'm like, I think we have enough information. Now we just need to put in the work. You know, we just need to start marketing, just really need to start taking action.
Yeah, it's a big part of it, just taking action. Too many people just try to get that info and everything.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I was watching free content for a couple months straight. And then I was always telling myself, yo, we need to watch 10 more videos and then we'll know wholesaling. We need to watch another 10. So it just kept adding up to another 10. And then my mind was just kind of exploding of information. So I was like, we're not watching any more YouTube. I believe we have the concept down. We don't know everything, but we know the information. We kind of know the details of how to get our first deal done. So now I want to say, I'm going to bring it back to like the end of March. I want to say around March 23rd is when my bandit signs came in. And at this point, I was really like, we're going to quit this 9 to 5. We're done. So I'm kind of telling my manager things like that. I'm telling her that I'm going to be done real soon. Like I'm giving everyone a heads up because at this point, you know, I really don't care. So I have all the information, you know, pretty much have all the information. You can get this on YouTube, free content. So now we have all the information. I ordered my bandit signs and they came in around the 23rd. And that's when I start kind of telling my boss, you know, I'm looking to get out of here and things like that. However, I only have my bandit signs, so I don't have a deal ready. I don't have anything, you know, lined up. This is just complete faith at this point. So my bandit signs come in, and then just to make sure I can get a deal, I ordered 300 bandit signs, and these are the bandit signs you could just zip tie, like on the stop signs. So I ordered 300 of those things. I also ordered a high equity absentee owner list from ListSource.
Okay.
So I got that list on ListSource. I skip traced it on reiskip.com. I don't know if I misskipped it because I mean I tried to get 500 numbers, but only like 200, maybe 180 even came out. So I do understand on skip trace, you know, all the information sometimes doesn't get to you, which is fine. So out of those 500 numbers, or of the high equity absentee owner, only got like 200 phone numbers or so. So I was like, you know what? We're telling people we're quitting our job, you know, just to make sure we're really quitting this job. We should have bandit signs. We should have our list.
So you're all in at this point, basically, huh?
Oh, all in. But I'm all in. But I don't have any I don't have any cash buyers. I don't have any sellers. I don't have any properties. You know, we don't have anything. All we have is our marketing. We only have our marketing. So at that point, I'm getting pretty sick of YouTube videos. I actually just stopped watching them because there's always this thing in the back of your mind saying, you know what, there's something else we can learn. There's something else we can learn. There's something else. You know what, maybe we should get a CRM, you know. Maybe we need a CRM program before we get our first deal. So just so I could stop my mind from trying to learn something else that I know we do not need to know, I pretty much stopped watching the YouTube, stopped watching the podcasts, and just started putting action in. So around that time, we put our bandit signs up. I only put around 20 of them up, to be honest with you. So I only put 20 bandit signs up, and I only made around 20 phone calls on my absentee owner list. And then I was like, before we really dive into it, let's just start off, like, let's start our training off with Craigslist. So that's what I would recommend, you know, whatever.
That's what I recommend a lot of the.
Heck.
You just practice.
Yeah, and just practice it. And what a lot of people were saying was Craigslist aren't motivated sellers. Like a lot of people were saying that. And I'm just like, I don't care what you guys are saying. I'm just trying to learn to get on the phones. So I just start banging out those for rent by owners on Craigslist. And I was just saying, hey, my name is Marcus. I'm a local real estate investor and I can, you know, buy your property in 10 days. We can close quick, things like that. So I actually only called about, man, it's so crazy how everything worked, but I literally only called 10 of these landlords. And like the 9th, maybe 10th phone call, a landlord gets on the phone and she says, you know what, honey, I'm not renting out that property because, you know, these are all for rents, things like that. So she says, I'm not renting out that property. That property expired months ago. I'm not even sure if you got my phone number. So I was like, I'm sorry about that, ma'am. You know, I'm actually a real estate investor. And I was just wondering, I do understand that property is no longer for rent. However, do you have any properties you would actually are looking to sell? And then she kind of waits a moment or two. She's kind of thinking like, who is this guy type thing. And she's like, you know what? I have these 2 duplexes that me and my husband, we hate them so much. He's 60 years old. This is back-breaking labor he's doing over here. So he doesn't want to fix these up anymore. Maybe I would like to get these off our hands. We don't like them, anything like that. So I asked her for the address. I kind of pull it up on Zillow, and I'm just kind of looking at the area while we're on the phone with her. I pull it up, and then I get to the question where I'm pretty much just like, if we can close very quickly, we're gonna be paying all your closing costs. I think I said any leftover mortgages, tax, or liens, but there wasn't any on the property. And I was pretty much, what is the lowest cash offer you would actually accept for this property here? And then I kind of just waited a second, wait for her to respond, because she was kind of thinking, like, she was just thinking for a long time. So I was just sitting there in silence, just waiting for her number. And then she was like, you know what? I think I can do $30,000 for this property. So then I wasn't really sure of what my offer should be for the property. But I straight up just told her, you know what? I can't do 30. I really don't think I can do 30. But I think I could do around 25,000 for it. And when I said 25,000, she said, you know what, that price, it seems okay to me. However, she says, I work the business side of our business, because they're landlords. They own around 10 more properties. Right. She runs the business side. Her husband is the fixer-upper. So he's the one who's showing people on appointments, fixing the properties up. So immediately I'm like, man, more than a 9-to-5 job, what am I doing? Because I have to get this appointment sealed quick as possible. And she says, is there any way you can come out tomorrow? So I'm like, oh, great. Sure, no problem at all. We'll come out tomorrow morning as soon as possible. So we come out, we set the schedule or set the appointment for the exact next day. But mind you guys, the car that I currently have is a 2005 Mazda 6, okay? I got in a car accident last year. I blew the thing apart. So, it took me
a total beater, basically. You're pulling up to this apartment.
Oh, man. Pretty much a beater because of my accident and the new parts on it. The car's silver. However, since there's different new parts on it, like the hood's blue because the new hood's blue, the fender's blue. So like it's a blue and silver car, right? So I was like, some people say, your car matters when you're pulling up. So I was like, man, I don't want anything to go wrong. I need to make sure our first deal goes by smooth. So I call my mom, and she lives around 10 to 15 minutes away from me. And I pretty much say, hey, Mom, can I borrow your car? Because, she's a registered nurse. She spends a lot of money on this vehicle. It's not even really in her budget, but she's the type of person, she's very materialistic. She wants this car. So she's had this Mercedes-Benz for a while now. And I pretty much asked her, hey, Mom, can I pull up in the Benz? I got to do what I got to do in this business. So she says, yeah, no problem. Just put gas in it. Fine. So I take my mom's car. I start heading to the appointment. And then I get to the appointment. The seller, his name is Ed, the husband who does the handiwork. I get there, I pull up in the Mercedes-Benz, he sees me, gets out. Now, I'm not sure if the car is what kind of solidified it for him to make it seem like I'm legit, because, we both get out, he sees the car, and we're walking up to the steps, and then he's like, hey, he's putting the key in the lock so we can get into the property, and he's like, hey, do you see these special keys here? I can switch the locks like on our properties very quick with these special keys. He was like, when you're fixing your properties, do you use these special keys or these locks? And I'm just thinking, I have no idea what this guy's talking about. He thinks I'm a fixer-upper. He thinks I'm the guy, but I'm not. But we're staying professional. I'm like, you know what? We actually don't use those. We keep it very standard. I kept it clear cut. I was just like, let's just get in this house. So I was also pretty nervous of like the repairs on the property. I used this simple formula. I'm sure a lot of people know it. It's like if the property is in okay condition, it doesn't need that much work, you can multiply the square footage of the property by $5. So, if it's an okay, it just needs a little bit of repairs, $5 times the square foot, and then you'll get your repair amount. So this property needed a little bit more work. So I thought it was going to cost around $10 a square foot for repairs, and it was around 1,700 square feet or so. So like the max repairs in my mind were around, 10, 17 grand maybe at the max, maybe 17 grand. But I had no idea what those repairs really meant to me, right? Like I didn't know what we were going to be I didn't know if it was going to be putting in, the flooring or whatever like that. So I was kind of afraid when I was going on this interview to look at the property. When I was kind of afraid what to ask him, like, hey, the boiler, how old's the hot water tank?
Yeah, you're just trying to like trying to act as if like you're gonna fix this thing up and like getting the questions you need to know if like you're the one.
Exactly. So I was kind of afraid at that point, but
yeah. Anyway, so you were in there, you were looking around, just kind of showing you around the property and everything.
Yeah, and since I was afraid of kind of getting into the repairs and like that, the whole thing that I kind of want, like the biggest tip I would advise anyone who's just starting is when you're just getting in that property, we don't know what the repairs are, anything like that. We're just starting out. So the biggest advice that I got was just build rapport. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's some gold nuggets right there. Rapport. Honestly, like most of the times I go in, I don't really give to whatever you want to put in there, like what's going on in the property. Like, all right, so you talked the guy down, you got him to they said they wanted 30,000. You said you wanted for 25,000. What happened when he came to the negotiation side of things?
So, we're just in the living room the whole time. We're just talking about his life. I'm not talking about the property that much. We're just building really good connection. We get to the point where he's like, I get to the question where I'm like, I was on the phone with your wife. She said 25,000 would work pretty good for her. However, since we were looking at this property, we did this little walkthrough. I can see some repairs that we need to do. Little did I know, I didn't know anything. I was just said, there's going to be some extra repairs in this, Ed. And the lowest that I can, I said, what's the lowest that you can do? I know your wife said 25. What's the lowest you can do? And he says, you know what? I honestly think the lowest we can do is 25. What is your number? And I said, to be honest with you, Ed, the lowest I can do is 23,000. And he kind of sat there for a second, just kind of thinking about it. And he said, you know what? I think 23,000 is a good price my wife can also consider. Can you please give her a call back tomorrow morning? So I had all my paperwork ready, my contracts. I was ready to go to get this thing signed. I was like, man, I'm not wasting any more time. But then he was like, can you please just call my wife tomorrow morning? So we leave the property. I call her the next morning, very early in the morning. And I say, hello, Rosemary. I walked in the property with your husband. The property looks very good. It's something we're definitely interested in purchasing from you. However, the repairs, when I was looking for it, I believe the foundation is going to need a little bit more work. So I said, is there any way you can do 23,000? And she says, yeah, no problem. No problem at all. We can do
just like that smooth. She's just like
smooth. It was very smooth. It literally just like that. So she says, yeah, no problem at all. We can do 23,000. I get the paperwork sent over to her. I actually email her the purchase and sales agreement for 23,000. They send it back to me within like the next, I want to say, couple hours, maybe 2-3 hours. Instantly get this thing back. So I'm like, perfect. We can market this property now. Let's get to it. So I want to say, because I had to change the price for this property, so I'm not sure what the first day I got the original contract for. But I think I start marketing this thing out like on a Wednesday, and I got some other, advice from some other people, and they said, you want to push this out before the weekend. So this is like Wednesday or Thursday, I get it under contract, and I'm like, man, I need to find cash buyers in 2 days to get to this property. So this is another mistake. I didn't put it on Craigslist because I thought the owners would get upset from seeing it on Craigslist. But at this point, I'm going to put them all on Craigslist until we get our buyers list up. But I didn't put this one on Craigslist. And like I said, I wanted to get at least 5 to 10 buyers to sit in this property all at once.
Yeah.
So since I couldn't put on Craigslist to get our buyers, the way I found this buyer was the street was on Pitkin. So what you guys can do is just go to your local tax assessor website, just type in the street the property's on, and then you'll get all the names of, the owners of the properties on that street. So if you just specifically look for the LLCs on that street, just look them up, type them into Google. You can usually easily find their phone numbers and just start calling them. So I start calling those LLC numbers, and this one guy I call, and I pretty much say, hey, I have a property. Are you interested in this property on Pitkin? I see that you purchased many other properties on the street. And he's like, are you talking about the property that has the messed up porch and it's got a big old TV on there? And I was just thinking, like, how does he know this? You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
how
if he
does he
has a
know?
house on the street, but yeah.
Right. So I was pretty much like, oh wow, he must be super interested already. And what he said to me, he was like, how exactly did you get this? How did you get this property? I've been trying to get this one for a couple of years now. I'm kind of shocked how you got it. And I pretty much just told him I'm a local investor. We spend money on marketing to get this property, yada,
Yeah.
yada. So we get that one cash buyer. He seemed very serious. We call about 3 other ones. They seem a little iffy if they want the property. And I pretty much say, hey, I got about 5 cash buyers now. I blast out the email. Everyone show up on Friday at 3 p.m. Cool. So Friday, 3 p.m. hits. I come up there. I pull up in the Mercedes-Benz one more time just to make sure everything's good. So you know what I mean?
Right.
So now we're at the property. And this is Friday at 3 p.m. when I tell all the cash buyers to come by. 3 p.m. hits, and man, only one guy shows up, okay? So I'm kind of like, wow, okay. So if only one guy shows up, I mean, we have the property under contract for another month. We can advertise it for a little bit longer. If anything happens where this guy doesn't want it, who cares? So we walk through the property. He's like really interested in it. He asked me again how I got it. I'm just like, man, I'm an investor. I got the property. And he's like, perfect. I love this property. Do you have your paperwork? I'll sign this right now for $25,000. So I'm getting kind of nervous. I'm like, okay, maybe I need a little bit more. I was like, can you do 27? He's like, no, the lowest I can do is 25. So I was like, huh. I was just thinking in the back of my mind, should I wait a couple more weeks or should I take his offer?
Yeah.
And I was like, we're taking his offer. This is our first deal. Let's just take it. So we get it under, he takes our contract. He fills it out like he knows everything he's doing. We get it under contract for $25,000. And I mess up here. I tell him only put $10 earnest money down. Biggest noob mistake ever. I know, man. I just told him to put 10 down. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like,
yeah, we usually want them to do like at least 1,000 or 2, just in case they walk away and we're not like, we got a pissed off seller at the end of the day if like they can't.
Okay, so 1,000, like a minimum, at least $500 to $1,000 is good earnest money.
Yeah, one of those low price deals. If it's only like 25 grand, yeah, I'd only do like 1,000 or 2.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I pretty much tell him, you know, I trust you. I notice you own all these properties on the street. You want this one? I'll do $10 earnest money. He kind of laughed at me, gave me the $10.
He's like, yeah, sure. I'll give you
I was like, huh. I don't know. So he signs the paperwork. I was like, all right, we need this closed in 10 days. He was like, I can do that perfect. So I'm thinking everything's fine. We're ready to go. He was like, I have a title company that I've been using for 15 years. Let's use mine. So I'm like, wow, this is smooth. I can't believe this is going so smooth.
Yeah, you haven't even set up the title company yet at this point, huh?
Right. Haven't even set up the title. Haven't even done any of that. So he's like, I have my own title company. Perfect. So then I call his title company. And they're like, you know what? We can't do this transaction. Your paperwork is just, I'm not sure what you're doing here. You're saying you want $4,500, but it just does not seem. 4,500.
I think that split right now is $2,000.
Oh, right. My bad. So the cash buyer says $25,000. We have it under contract with the seller for $23,000.
Yeah.
So I'm like, perfect. We're making at least $2,000. So fine, sign the contracts. We'll do this. I call the seller and I immediately let them know our inspectors came in. There's some foundation work. We need this price lowered a little bit.
Yeah, because you weren't happy with the margins, huh?
Yeah, man. I was like $2,000. I don't know. I mean, man, we can make a little bit more than $2,000 on our first deal.
Yeah, I've honestly never heard of this. Like, you get it under contract, you find a buyer and everything, they can buy it, and then you renegotiate the price. Like, I've never heard someone do that before.
Yeah, man. So we find the buyer. The buyer's like 25. I immediately call the seller back and I say, there's foundation problems. We need another reduction. I need to get this under contract for $20,000 with you, ma'am. She says, you know what? I think $20,500 will be reasonable for you and I. So I wasn't going to fuss over that $500 difference. I send over the contract for $20,500. I let her know there was foundation issues, some other things like that. I just pretty much wanted to run the numbers up, tell them there was something wrong so they can believe me. Mm-hmm. So we get it under contract for $20,500 now from the seller. and the buyer. Now we're looking at a $4,500 profit. However, I forgot to tell my buyer about closing costs. So I was like, wow, now we need to call our buyer back. We need to tell him he's going to spend all closing costs. So I pretty much just gave my buyer a call, told him we need to split half the closing costs. He said, that's perfectly fine. I said, perfect. I'm going to send all the paperwork over to the title company. So I tried to send it to his title company. They say my paperwork's illegal. Things are confusing. They can't do this transaction. So I'm like, okay, no problem. I call our buyer. I let him know, sorry, I can't use your title company, but we can use my title company. Mind you, I did not have a title company. I did not have a title company.
Right.
So now I'm stressing. I can't use my buyer's title company. What do? I have to use someone else. So I call about 10 other title companies. They're all telling me, man, your paperwork's incorrect. You can't do this deal. It's illegal. It's shady. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking I went through all of this process, this whole process, just for my attorneys, the title companies, to say, we can't do this. So now I'm like, man, our deal is going to blow up. I got to call these people, tell them whatever, it's not working. So I actually get in contact with another wholesaler in my state, Ohio. And he's a pretty big wholesaler. He's doing like a bunch of deals a month. And he's a nice guy. He pretty much, I got on the phone with him. He was walking me through like the steps. And so what happened here is I had a purchase and sale agreement with the seller for $20,500, and then I had another purchase and sales agreement with the buyer. So that's where it got confusing, because when I learned the contract information from another YouTuber, and he is the reason why my head is almost exploded.
Yeah, it's usually two different contracts. You have a purchase, and then you have the assignment contract.
Exactly. And he was pretty much saying you have to use two purchase and sales agreements, because then the buyer, they won't know how much you're making, yada yada. And I'm like, man, you're the reason why I almost had a heart attack. So, you know, I haven't talked to this other wholesaler or anything. I didn't tell him anything like that yet, but he is the reason I almost had a freaking heart attack over the paperwork. So the guy tells me, no problem at all, Marquis. Just send this paperwork over to your buyer. It was a purchase contract. It was the purchase contract. Just send it over to the buyer. And I thought I was nervous, because I was like, man, I told this buyer all the paperwork's ready to go and title. But now I'm telling him I need another paperwork signed from him. So I was nervous there. I sent it over. He immediately sends it back. No problem at all, Marquis. Fine. So then a few days pass, and, you know, the seller and the buyer, they're getting kind of antsy. They're kind of like, you know, where's the paperwork? I haven't got any phone calls from title. What's going on? And I pretty much just let them know. I didn't let them know the paperwork was sent late. I pretty much just told them title work's doing their job. So a few days pass, around 3 or 4 days pass. Title company gives me the green light. And I'm just like, a sigh of relief is finally off my chest. I can breathe again. They're like, let's set up closing for tomorrow. I'll send you the HUD settlement. Let's get everything closed. And then the buyer texts me. He's like, I need the HUD settlement right now. I'm not sure what's going on. I haven't got a phone call from title. What the heck's going on? I sent him the HUD settlement. He immediately calls me back saying everything on the HUD's incorrect. Everything. And I'm just like, you're joking me, man. Closing's tomorrow. The deal, we're about to get our profit. What are you talking about?
Right.
So we get off the phone with each other after this guy blew me a new one, man. Like, this guy was going crazy. When I mean crazy, I mean like I thought the deal was done. So I'm like, okay, perfect. Our deal, man. I've been telling everyone we got a deal. Man, this thing blew up. He calls me back. He calls me back 2 hours, like an hour or two later. He's like, I am so sorry. I was in my car. I was driving. I was looking at the HUD settlement on my phone. I didn't have my glasses on. I didn't see this. He was like, I'm so sorry. Everything's going good. We'll go to closing tomorrow. So everyone goes up to closing. One other mistake I did make, I wanted to schedule them, the seller and the buyer, to meet at closing like an hour later. But I told them to both come, and I didn't want to call them back and say, can you reschedule? I didn't want to be more sketchy. So we all show up at closing. Everything's going smooth. We're signing the paperwork, everything like that. And then like the last minute, my buyer just starts passing out his business cards to my seller. And he's like, you know what? If you have any other properties you would like to sell, here's my card. Just give me a call. So he was pretty much trying to cut me out at that point. And I got a weird vibe from him at that point. But, you know, I kept it professional. We kept it moving. The title company cut the check that day. We picked it up and we closed on 4/20. So we got that second contract on April the 8th for 20,500, and then we closed on 4/20. So I was like a 12. It was a quick close. You know,
that's what like the awesome part about this is like it's close to like sometimes I've had a deal in like 7 days, but yeah, like in a month you just all of a sudden just made this life-changing money, and you're just you're hustling a little bit in the time being, but it's totally worth it at the end of the day. Like so come in, close, like you guys signed everything signed up. What was that dollar amount that you received in the check?
That dollar amount, I know I had a copy around me. So, oh yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because when I cashed that check, I was like, this is my first real estate deal. Is there any way you guys can save this check? And she was like, I can copy it for you as long as you don't try to cash it again. I was just like, whatever. So, so since we kind of messed up, we didn't tell our cash buyer he's going to be paying closing costs. I told him we'll just split it. The final dollar amount was $3,937.25.
Hey, there you go, man.
Man,
it's a start.
It's a start. It really is a start, and it's game changing. Like I know it's only a $4,000 check, but what I realized, I was like, it's going to take me 2 months working 9 to 5 to get that check. You know, it's literally, we just got a paycheck for $4,000, and you know, it took us less time, less work, less headache than a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah, like how many hours do you think you put into this one deal, you think?
Man, I want to say 5 hours max. 5 hours max in this deal.
Yeah, like, I mean, maybe a few phone calls here and there, and everything.
Right.
$5 hours. So what is that, like $700 an hour?
Right.
Yeah, like what 9 to 5 job can you make that type of money on? Like,
and that's what I'm realizing, man. Like, it's really that 9 to 5 is really slave labor. You're making 14, maybe 15 an hour, and we just made 900 an hour. And it's like, you can keep doing this. So like, for everyone out there working your 9 to 5 job, and you think, you know, you have too much time, you know, you don't have enough time on your hands, wholesaling is the perfect way to get you out of that 9 to 5 job, because you can do this. You can make phone calls on your lunch break when you get off work. I know it's a serious grind, but you know, once you get that first check, it's life changing, man.
Right. Yeah. That's what's crazy about this. I mean, you made a ton of mistakes along the way, but I think one of the biggest gold nugget from like this whole story and everything is there was really no excuses. Like you just took action and everything. And then you ran into one problem, you found a solution. You didn't give up. You didn't say, oh man, I just lost this deal, I'm done. You had to rebound a little bit and work hard for it.
Yep.
But like at the end of the day, like you didn't give yourself any excuses. I mean, I think that's why you're able to do the deal, and like that's what so many people run into, and they just need to eliminate the excuses, just take the action, just go for it. Yep. Don't take too much knowledge, like just get enough knowledge to figure out how to do the deals and everything.
Yep.
And then you can just go out and take action. I mean, there's still so much like you can learn. Like I'm always learning every day.
Oh yeah.
Even though I've done a few deals and everything, like there's still problems I'm running into that I didn't know were a thing. But
right.
You just keep working through it, and then at the end of the day, you're just cashing checks. Really, that's crazy.
That's what it is, and that's what I guess I want to tell everyone. It's massive imperfect action. And I mean, I've heard that from so many, like the podcast I was listening to, Wholesale to Inc.
Okay. Yeah. I was wondering if you
I watched all 200 episodes on my way to work. So like, there was a point in time where I was out, man. I was into it. I was watching all these podcasts, and then, like I said, once you get that information overload, stop the YouTube, stop the podcast, put the imperfect action in, and then you'll get a deal. Because I've heard stories where people are getting their first deal in 1 month, first deal in 3 to 6 months, and I told myself, if we really want to quit this 9 to 5, we need to have faith. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. Just have faith that you can close your first deal in the next 30 days. And like I said, you know, I was jumping out with a leap of faith, and little did we know we closed our first deals in way quicker than 30 days. So that's my biggest, you know, recommendation. Put in that massive imperfect action, and then, you know, have that faith, and it will come to you. You will manifest it. It's crazy. You know, the power of your mind. That's one other thing I want to tell people. You know, a one book recommendation, if we can give that out.
Yeah, go for it, man.
The Power of the Subconscious Mind, I believe by Joseph Murray, I want to say. But after reading that book,
I'll have to write that one down. I haven't heard that one. But I'll definitely have to check it out. What was it again?
Man, yeah, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. I believe it's by Joseph Murray, I believe, but it's definitely The Power of the Subconscious Mind. And it will tell you pretty much just how strong your subconscious is. And if you believe something, it will truly happen. So, you know, this wholesale business really just seems like a manifestation. You know, we're manifesting these checks and they really will come to you, I promise. So, yeah, just what I would recommend, just get on all those YouTube videos. There's so much free content. Devin, your page, bro, like, I don't even understand. If your page wasn't up there, I don't even understand. You know, I probably wouldn't be here today. I would be clocked into my 9 to 5 right now.
Man, just everybody watching this, I didn't tell him to say that or anything.
We're not sponsored. I'm just straight. I just have to spit facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So, well, hey, that's awesome. Thanks for telling your story and everything, Marquis. Glad to have you on here and everything. And then everybody watching this video, whenever you watch it, make sure you, like, if you haven't already, maybe rewatch it or take a couple of solid points, notes out of this. And like at the end of the day, like Marquis said, just take that massive action, just make things happen and go out and kill it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
For everybody watching, we'll see you on the next video. Peace.